their disguise. Today, the people of Latin America are again rising up against an empire built on an extreme form of capitalism known as the Washington Consensus. Whole countries have been privatized, put up for sale, their natural wealth sold to foreign companies for peanuts. In Venezuela, they've said, no more.
Democracia, lo dije hace un rato, delante de nuestro pueblo. Como dijo Lincoln, son definiciones sencillas. Ahora, lo difícil es llevarlo a la realidad. Aquí estamos llevándolo a la realidad. Gobierno del pueblo, por el pueblo y para el pueblo. A una sociedad de incluidos y de iguales, donde no haya exclusión, donde no haya miseria, donde reinen los valores humanos.
For some of his supporters, Chavez has not gone far enough. Familiar obstacles remain from the past, a stifling bureaucracy and widespread corruption. And although poverty has fallen dramatically in recent years, it's far from eradicated. When you drive in from the airport at Caracas, the one thing that shocks a first-time visitor are the barrios, the numbers of poor people. Why is it in Venezuela, which earns so many billions of dollars in oil money, that there still is this poverty in spite of all the changes you've made?
¿Que los pobres de Venezuela siguen siendo pobres? Sí. Yo siempre les digo, no queremos ser ricos. Nuestro objetivo no es la riqueza material. Es vivir dignamente, claro, salir de la pobreza y salir de la miseria sobre todo. Y vivir dignamente, ese es el objetivo. No convertirnos en millonarios, el American Way of Life, no. Esa es una imbecilidad. Eso te lo digo un poco porque el tema de la pobreza es un tema al que somos muy sensibles y es el que nos lleva la mayor parte de nuestra lucha de todos los días.
The daily struggle is made easier here. 10 years ago, this clinic would not have been dreamed of. Now, all over Venezuela, ordinary people have free health care. Many seeing a doctor for the first time in their lives.
Están haciendo un documental sobre Venezuela. Perdona la interrupción.
For the first time, children of the poorest have a full day at school and at least one hot meal a day. They're learning history and music and dance, often for the first time, and all of this is free. Under the Constitution, the poorest housewives are now paid as workers. I mean, a number of journalists now say, well, there is censorship. They have been censored.
How can that be? They speak out every morning. They have their shows every day. They speak out, constantly against the government every day. I mean, how can they say this?
I don't know if you have seen the programs that they have. Well, anybody that comes to Venezuela and spends Tuesdays looking at these channels knows that there's no censorship in Venezuela. You just have to sit down and see those opinion programs between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning.
Cuba está evolucionando de fascista a nazi. ¿Qué es un nazi con diferencia a un fascista? Fundamentalmente que el nazi asesina.
I mean, I don't think in any part of the world you hear the things that they say about President Chavez, about his cabinet, his ministers, the governors, the policies, whatever. I mean, it's even obscene in some kind.
Is Kenya set to usher another Kenyatta at the presidency, 3 decades after the demise of the country's founding father, Jomo Kenyatta?
I want you all to understand that Nairobi is the heartbeat of this nation. And we're not going to stand by and watch ourselves lose it. Not because the people do not support a Jubilee government, but because the leaders cannot work together. And I want to be very clear on that basis. And what we expect, and that is why we are here, from each and every single one of you who seeks to vie for an elective post in this city, is that I want you to understand that Nairobi and Kenya is bigger than any one of you individually. And the least we expect from you in these remaining 2 days is for you to pull this city together and to ensure a Jubilee victory.
Many believe Uhuru simply wants to inherit his late father's seat. But growing up in the first family, is Uhuru a pampered prince seeking the country's presidency from a platform of entitlement?
I would doubt very much that he was seeking to be president just because his father was president. It's been normal in other parts of the world as well that people who hail from families that have produced leaders at that level before have sought also to have a go at it, and I think it's a very normal and natural human happening. If your father was a coconut farmer, you are likely to try to be a coconut farmer. If he was running a bakery, you are likely to try to run a bakery, and if he was a football player, there's every likelihood that some people from the family would go that way. I do not think that they do that because they think that they have any special entitlement to that which they then aspire.
Uhuru Kenyatta did not decide to be the son of Jomo Kenyatta, and he's entitled to contest for the presidency. The bottom line is Kenyans are the ones to decide who becomes their next leader, and if Uhuru Kenyatta has offered himself and is elected to become the president of Kenya, we can't talk about the sense of entitlement because Kenyans will have elected him. So that issue of whether he's a sense of entitlement because his father was a president is neither here or there. The fact is he has the resources and he has a political constituency and is qualified to be the Kenyan president. It's up to Kenyans to decide whether they're going to elect him or not.
Guinea is undoubtedly one of the few West African nations endowed with impressive vegetative cover, but this is not in any way being translated into significant gains. As Guinea is looking for ways to untap the huge potentials it has to sell the country to tourists, last July, Ibrahima Balde traveled to Fouta Djallon on a socio-historical fact-finding mission. Here is his impression of Fouta Djallon.
Fouta Djallon is a sprawling settlement that had for centuries held sway in the history of the greater Senegambia sub-region. People believe that this is the original home of the various ethnic groups now settling in what is now West Africa. Tucked in an enviable and favorable geographical entity, this region should be a tourist paradise, especially if we embark on a journey around its difficult to travel routes to the remote settlement of Hore Dimba. The main attraction in this area is that it is the abode of the mouth of 3 rivers, the Gambia, Senegal, and Niger. Well, over the years, various historians have dealt extensively about the important natural attributes within the Senegambia sub-region. What is amazing to